Well, hi everybody. Sgt K here. It is, what is it? It's January 16th today, and it's about 8:30 in the morning on the 16th, and computer issues. So here we are. And I got made aware of something, so I figured that today and right now, since I can't do anything, would be a great time to get my podcast done and get it over to Pastor Graydon so that he can get it posted up. I found out this morning during breakfast with my wife that Illinois is continuing to attempt to legalize prostitution. That's right. The state that has legalized marijuana, and they call these things dispensaries. They're not dispensaries. They're just stationary legalized drug dealers. And now they want to legalize prostitution. And they're backing up their argument by saying, okay, they're trying to legitimize this thing by saying that the women would be more accessible to healthcare that way. But at the end of all of the things that they listed on there, to include, making it safer for them, and it would help here's the good one. It would help eliminate human trafficking. Hello? Is there anybody in there? Let me knock on your forehead. Is there anybody in there? Sex work is and will remain and forever be human trafficking. Yes, human trafficking. It's not going to eliminate human trafficking. Look, legalizing marijuana has not eliminated people selling pot on the street. Sorry, I got a little frog in the throat here. Let me try and douse it with a little Live Long and Prosper coffee. There we go. It hasn't stopped your drug dealers from selling weed on the street, particularly since these cannabis legalized drug dealers, the dispensaries, are so darned expensive from what I understand. Now, I've not been in any of them. I actually do plan on going into one because I want to see what goes on inside those places, but I digress. So we have people that are proposing that prostitution become legal to give better health care to women, to prevent human trafficking. And then at the end of the list, they talk about taxing it. Is there anything on the planet that the state of Illinois will not tax? Anything. They thought they were doing us a favor by not taxing food. Why would you tax food? It's already so expensive that a lot of people are having trouble affording it. Biden administration. Why would you tax food? Governor Pritzker. So now you're going to tax sex. Why don't we just tax sex between married couples too? Why don't we tax sex between people that are living together? Every time you have sex, you have to pay a tax. Every time. You make love to your spouse, you got to pay a tax. $20. That's right. And I'm not making this stuff up, guys. I am not making this stuff up. All you got to do, Google Illinois legalized prostitution, and NBC and the other news media coverage, they come up and they talk about it. And you see, one of them had a video of this skinny white guy talking about, with his little lispy voice, his reasoning behind supporting legalizing prostitution. Never mind, they bring up in the videos, the articles, that it's illegal in all states except certain areas of Nevada. Pum, pum, pum. The Las Vegas area, probably. Oh, I would say so, yes. They always say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Las Vegas is like one of the most corrupt places on the planet. Yep, it is. And Illinois is fastly becoming that. So now, let me see. We got legalized casinos. They got a new one in Rockford. Uh, Swiping all of the fixed income from the blue hairs because, they think they're going to go there and they can put their Social Security checks in there and they're going to hit it big and they won't have to eat cat food anymore. Oh, wait a second. My whole check is gone and now I've got no money for food for the month. And they think they're doing a favor by having a 1-800 number where if you've got a gambling problem, you can call up. Look, okay, let's be realistic about it. Drug addicted people, gambling addicted people, people with all kinds of addictions are 99% of the time the ones who deny that they've got a problem, and they're not likely to call those numbers. And it doesn't make it better. It doesn't erase the fact that you have legalized hardcore gambling, that you have legalized marijuana, which for years you told us all was a gateway drug to other things, and it is. And while it can help with pain, actually you're still in pain. You're just stoned, so you don't know you're in pain. Even when I'm online or when I'm on my phone, looking at social media, I'm getting all of these ads now for all of these legalized cannabis gummy bears. And my family, they get a little irritated with me because anytime they screw up or, somebody does something and it's funny, but it's really kind of dumb, I tell them they got to lay off the gummy bears. And, but it's crazy. Prostitution is human trafficking. No matter what you do with it, you're selling somebody. This isn't two people having sex because they want to hook up, which shouldn't happen anyway. Sex was meant to be enjoyed between a husband and a wife. In the marital bedroom. Not between two consenting adults. Okay, you can make that argument all day long, but it doesn't carry water because truth is truth, whether you believe it or not. Truth is truth. Just because you don't believe something doesn't make it less true. All right. The other issue is, and I want to bring this up, what kind of message does that send to our young girls? What kind of message does that send to our young girls? That it's okay to be a hooker. I'll tell you something. I have seen dolls that cry, dolls that eat, dolls that poop. Okay, dolls that you can change the clothes on, dolls you can pay way too much money for the clothes on them. I have yet to ever see a hooker doll. So what's next after Malibu Barbie? Hooker Barbie? Sex trafficked Barbie? We are becoming so incredibly immoral. How do you expect blessings to fall on a country that's going exactly 180 degrees from the direction it needs to be going? Now, I'm not saying that we need to become religious quacks, and there are a lot of them out there. Okay, but God has laid down these guidelines. It's just like raising your child. If your child picks up a screwdriver, okay, you're doing a home project, your kid picks up a screwdriver, and they're walking to stick that screwdriver in an electric plug-in. Are you going to take that screwdriver away and tell them, don't do that, you're going to get electrocuted? For their own safety, for their own health, for their own well-being? Or are you going to let the kid walk over there and electrocute themselves and say, well, they'll only do it once? I have never heard a little girl say, when I grow up, I want to be a hooker. This is just the latest in a horrible way to go. A horrible way to go for the state of Illinois. Look, Governor Pritzker, you need to be out of office. The Democrats need to lose control of this state. This governor needs to go. And we need to get some upright, standing people in office in Illinois. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'd be one of the, we had this huge flotilla of people that left the state of Illinois. And I would be one of them if I could do it. But right now, I can't do it. And you know what? I like my home. This home is a blessing. This home is a home that I believe that the Lord gave to my wife and I. And I shouldn't have to give it up because our governor, who's related to Jabba the Hutt, you could see the family resemblance, wants to make this state immoral and corrupt. And stop the argument of abortion as women's health care. Abortion is not health care for anybody. Okay? They're not talking about a tubal pregnancy. They're not talking about a pregnancy where the mother is going to pass if they don't perform a medical procedure that unfortunately will take the life of the child. They are talking about people who just straight up go in and get an abortion, and they want it, and they want it right up to the time of birth. In fact, some places are talking about after the birth. We have a moral dilemma. We have a moral dilemma. And legalizing prostitution is the wrong way to go. It's just straight up the wrong way to go. And then you got cities like Chicago and Detroit and Rockford, Illinois, where the crime rates are going through the roof. And it's not even gun crime, because in Rockford, they figured out, hey, we can't get arrested for having a gun. We'll just stab the snot out of people. Take the guns away from the law-abiding citizens. The criminals are always going to have them. And if you do start taking them away from the criminals, which you should be doing, they're just going to change their weapon of choice. Violent people are violent people, and they need to be put away, and the public needs to be protected. But getting back to the whole legalizing prostitution thing, people of Illinois, you elected these screwballs. You elected these screwballs. Now, last election, Pritzker only beat Darren Bailey by like 400,000 votes, which really, in a state when you consider the size of Chicago, who always elects the governor because of their population and being bamboozled into the Democratic Party, they went from one mayor who had them in the frying pan, and now they've got another mayor, I think his name is Williams, and they're out of the frying pan and into the fire. My family does not go to Chicago. My family will not go to Chicago until Chicago becomes a safe place once again. And it's not. It's not. It's horrible. It's a combat zone. That's why they've started calling it Chirac. Yep, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Governor, that's what Chicago's nickname is. You might not have heard it, but that's what it gets called. Now you want to legalize prostitution. Why don't we just legalize murder? Come on, let's legalize murder. Let's put a bill out there in the state of Illinois and legalize somebody just killing somebody because they don't like the way they look. There'd be a lot of killing going on. You walk down the street of Chicago and somebody, you look somebody in the eye or whatever, you just happen to glance there. What are you looking at? Because that's what they do. That's how they greet each other. What are you looking at? Oh, hey, homeboy, don't I know you? What are we becoming? And I went to the scripture and I started to look some stuff up. And so I'm in Romans, the first chapter, and I'm starting at verse 28. And as many of you know, old Sgt K is getting old, so I got to put the magnifying specs on. Starting at verse 28, it says, "And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to debased mind," which means warped minds, okay? "To do those things which are not fitting," being filled with all unrighteousness, sexual immorality, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil-mindedness. They are whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, violent, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, undiscerning, untrustworthy, unloving, unforgiving, unmerciful, who, knowing the righteous judgment of God, that those who practice such things are deserving of death, okay, and they're not necessarily talking physical death, they're talking spiritual, emotional death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. So what you have is you have people who are living immoral and approving of other people. That's why the whole like LGBTQ, XYZ, LMNOP group all support one another. And they scream loudly. And now they want to legalize prostitution. And of course you realize if they legalize prostitution, it doesn't just mean heterosexual prostitution. Now, I could be coming out and sounding like I'm being a hater, but once again, I'm not a hater, okay? What I am is somebody who's not going to allow his child to pick up that screwdriver and go stick it in a wall socket and electrocute themselves. No. I want to stop people from hurting themselves. And you can say, well, if two consensual adults are going to have sex and the guy pays $50 or $100 or whatever, depending on how they tax it. And then I have another question. Do you get a receipt and does it show the tax separately when you hire the sex worker? Yeah. God tells us not to do these things for a reason. Because even though physically you might not be hurt, spiritually, emotionally, you're damaged. And there's no way to get around it. Sometimes you have to love somebody enough to tell them the truth. Until next time, this is Sgt K. If your representative votes to legalize prostitution in the state of Illinois, actively campaign for somebody else. As always, if you don't like what I said, I don't care. This is my show, and I'm going to bring out things. Don't trust me? Look it up. Google it. Watch the videos for yourself. Watch the news press conferences for yourself. It's what's going on in Illinois, led by Governor Pritzker. God bless. See you soon.